Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, welcome back to AussieVerse with our live chat number 11. I am the currently very sick OmniBeau, joined by Mark Killer Grodd Watson. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, Monday, we're getting us started off for the week, so yeah.
As usual, if you do like the content and you are enjoying our shows, please consider liking and subscribing so that we can get to that 400 subscriber giveaway where one lucky viewer will be getting a $100 Amazon gift card so that they can buy whatever the hell they want just for subscribing to this channel. You can also find us on, and I forgot to upgrade it. I've actually changed it now where AussieVerse is one word, AussieVerse _ Comx and Collectors. I thought I was prepared for everything, Mark, but I wasn't. And all of our graphic designing, all of our thumbnails, all of our editing is done by A51 Designs. Go check them out. And last but definitely not least, we have our very first musical guest on the show. Something that this person can take to the grave and say, I was AussieVerse's first ever musical guest. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, he goes by the name of Jared Roberts. He's the drummer for Desecrator. He's also the drummer for Munt and the bassist for Munitions. Let's check out some work.
With powers to behold, that's language of all these words. Taking your time, evil black as the sky. No turning back as the dark is strong. Says the way to breathe the most sacred verses. Rushing the beat of the pounding drums. Carry you away to the morning. Raise the dead from the morning. Rise above the earth again. Raise the dead from the morning. Rise above the earth again. Raise the dead from the morning. Rise above the earth again. Raise the dead from the morning. Rise above the earth again.
He seems to be the master of the double kick, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring him on without further ado. We have Jared Roberts.
G'day. Waiting for the applause. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to join you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Where do we begin, Mark? Where do we begin?
Well, let's start by talking about your band, Desecrator. So how did it come about? How did you all get together? And how did this band get rolling?
Yeah. I think the band itself started back in sort of 2010, 2011. So our front man, who you probably saw in that video, Riley, he started that with a few guys. I jumped on sort of mid 2013. So the band had sort of already kicked off and was, touring pretty heavily and had already put out one release that was like a live album, and still to this day I still love listening to it, and I remember having it on CD, I think, and I had it on my iPod and stuff like that. And I moved from Albury Wodonga to Melbourne sort of in 2011-ish, I think, and then so I did my own thing for a little while, and yeah, just through sheer luck, was put on to Desecrator. I heard they needed a drummer, and of course I liked them, and of course, you know, thrash metal and heavy metal's right up my alley. So as soon as I heard about it, I was like, right, that is my gig, absolutely. So I went and just learnt the whole album before the first rehearsal, I think. So that's kind of how it went down. And then I think at the point where I joined in 2013, they were just about to put out a release, and they were doing like a direct to vinyl limited release EP, and then they had all this touring booked, so I just jumped on and went and go. So and what happened out of that was pretty well 3.5 years of playing shows, almost nothing else. We just, you know, we struggled to write a song for the next few years because we were just touring so much. Every week was rehearsal, every, you know, other week was rehearsal, all about new shows. We're going to go here next year. We're going to, you know, Europe for the, you know, we went to Europe for the first time, and then we went for the second time and third time, and then we went to South America, and then we're doing all these crazy tours. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, you know, we have to write an album. And so I was nearly 4 years in the band, and the band had been around 7 before the first studio album came out. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, and I've been in the band now for 9 years almost, and you know, we just played everywhere. We would just try and do whatever we could just to play live, and I think that's that's what that band is all about, playing live. You know, we're such students of, you know, that 80s thrash metal and heavy metal, like students of that energy, I think, or the you know, yeah, we wrote a song on the album called Thrash as a Verb because we were like so subscribed to, you know, the energy and movement of thrash metal, and, you know, that whole thing. I mean, it might sound a bit wanky, but that's kind of the ethos of that band. Whereas, you know, going into 2020 in a pandemic and we couldn't tour and we had a new album to put out, we kind of had to switch gears a bit and say, how do we put out music? How do we put out music these days without being able to tour, because we were absolutely hamstrung. We couldn't go anywhere. So that's been a bit of a challenge, but also, you know, one that we rose to. And I guess the video that you just showed of the summoning song track that was on YouTube there, and, you know, that's the title of our latest album. And you know, in some weird twist, that has probably been more successful than our previous albums combined, despite the fact that we couldn't tour it. So so it's been a pretty big ride. We're on a bit of a break at the moment. We're going to play one more show this year, and then we're going to have some time off, an indefinite amount of time. I don't know how long. It probably won't be forever, but it'll be a little bit of time. And we've all got other things going. I'm playing in a band called Munt, which are, you know, black and grind, you know, subgenre ×3 heavy metal, and they're really cool and really fun and extreme and slow and really crazy. So it's good. And then I get to play bass for another band, which is really fun as well. So that's kind of my year, you know, already done in music. I've got 2 releases with these bands coming out, and there's lots of music, always lots of music in my life. I've filled my life with music all the time. So there's always something going on. There's always a tour or a show or something happening. So, you know, we've been lucky enough, I guess Desecrator's been lucky enough to, you know, go around the world a few times and do what we like to do. And some shows and tours have been amazing and big, and we get looked after and treated like rock stars. And then others, we've just lived hard and lived out of a van, and, you know, been cold and hungry and all of that sort of stuff. So, but all of those things are where the story's at. So we've been pretty lucky in that regard. But we're very, you know, you know, proud of the music, and especially the new album that we've got out. We're really proud of it. So, you know, we still think there's maybe a better one in us yet. So maybe it's not forever, but we'll probably be on a break for a little while at the moment.
So whereabouts did the passion for music come from?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it just came from, I think you have those moments in your life. I guess it comes from anything, whether it's art of any kind, or it could be writing, or it could be anything creative, or anything, career related. You might have one or two of those moments in your life. I reckon one of them for me was seeing Dave Grohl. Simple as that. I saw him play. I mean, I think when I was 7 years old, saw him play with Nirvana, was like, I want to do that. I think the same with, it was like, from when I was little, I used to listen to, Motley Crue and a lot of that 80s, and a lot of the 80s glam stuff, which I kind of liked, but I wasn't gravitated towards. But I liked Aussie rock too. So, you saw the American glam stuff, but you also saw the, jeans wearing hard rock of Australia as well. So I think a lot of that, just growing up with it, I have early memories of listening to like Alice Cooper and Midnight Oil and stuff when I was really little, like seeking it out and putting it on. But then playing like instrument wise, it was like, I watched Dave Grohl play, It Smells Like Teen Spirit or something like that, and I guess being our age, like that was, we were 6 when that came out, or 7 when that came out, and then watching Guns N' Roses and like Matt Sorum with his big fuzzy hair, and his massive drum kit, like playing stadiums. So it's like, oh man, that is so cool. So I started like twiddling on the guitar and stuff. My cousin was playing guitar. My brother started playing drums. I had an older brother who started playing drums a bit, and all of a sudden I had, a guitar and a drum kit in my life when I was 8 years old. So that's just what I did. And that's pretty well all I did. I toyed with playing. I mean, you might remember when we were kids, like in Rochester and stuff. That's all I did. All I did was play guitar. All I did was play drums. Yep.
You had it decked out in your bedroom, the drum kit, and then the guitar and the amps.
Yep.
There was no place for us to sleep. We had to sleep in the lounge.
No. and that didn't change actually as I got older. The drum kits got bigger and better. And I still had the same size room, and I had more stuff and everything. And I still have memories now of like, I think when I moved, because Watto and I went to school in Rochester together when we were kids, and I probably moved from Rochester when I was about 12, I think.
Yeah.
And I still remember when I was 14, 15, wherever I was living at the time. I think it might have been Yarrawonga or Wodonga. My room was just full of gear. Like I just had guitars and drums and everywhere, and I would just be in there playing all the time. I've got I've played in a lot of cover bands over my life. So I've got a million songs in here on every instrument, and I kind of think back to those times, and I'm like, that's just all I did. I sat in my room and learnt everything Nirvana, for everything Metallica, everything Alice in Chains, everything AC/DC. I just learned 50 songs each on every instrument. Like I was just a complete nerd in those days. So that's just what I did. So, and that just fueled, and I've been in and out of bands. Like Desecrator's probably been the most busy band that I've had. And obviously we've had a bit of, we've been able to, tour a lot around the world. I was in another band, like when in school that started in school, and sort of by the time I was 15, we'd recorded an album and we were doing a few tours, and we were, jumping on support slots for UMI and Killing Heidi and a few of those bands that were popular at the time. And that was quite cool as well. We had, a little bit of, we had a little bit of radio play. I remember getting my first radio play when I was about 15, and I was freaking out, it's always been there, man. It's always been there and always will be. And I think like I was saying before we went live, I'll do it until I drop dead. You see all those, you make jokes about, Rolling Stones and all of that, like Jagger and all of those, and Keith Richards and all of those guys, and they almost look like corpses themselves. But Charlie Watts, their drummer, just passed away, not long ago. Again, they just do it until they die, and that's awesome. You look at Lemmy, like he's the grandfather of rock and roll, just literally rocked until he died. So I love that idea. I love the idea of being able to, and we've got a few of our favorite bands and favorite singers who can't really do it anymore, but you just like, okay, do something else. if I can't play heavy metal drums, I'll do something else. I'll sit and play guitar or play bass and all of that. So yeah.
Keith is a zombie.
Yeah.
The zombie apocalypse is real. It starts with
Yeah,
Keith.
exactly. And they start with Keith. They start with Aussie.
Do you seem to be able to play a few instruments? Do you have one that stands out for you above them all?
I can play a piccolo recorder pretty well still, I reckon. If you can give one of those to me. I'm pretty sure when I was in about grade 2, we were like winning a Stedfords consistently for like 2 years because our recorder band was bitching. But I don't know. I think drums is a forte. Like drums is my number one. Always has been pretty well since I was about 9. And I didn't really start getting lessons until I was about 11. I think I was going to school in Yarrawonga, and the music teacher at the time there, he was a legend. Like he was such a good guy, one of those guys who could play and teach everything. And he really helped that band. It was called Centaur at the time. He really helped us, like really went into bat for us to fund the album. Like the school sponsored the album through the Cool Schools program, and he really went into bat for us. And he basically taught me how to play drums properly. Taught me how to sit on the stool properly. Because all I wanted to do was just be Dave Grohl and be Lars Ulrich at that stage, and just not realizing that if you do that, you'll play 20 notes before you fall off the stool and break your arm. So so I started getting lessons when I was about 11 for just a couple of years just to learn how to do it. But I think the thing is, I think when it comes to anything artistic, you have to have a passion for it. So people are pretty complimentary sometimes on drumming and on the drumming and stuff like that. And I say, man, I've been doing it for 30 years now, and I just did it every day. Just did it every day, and because you wanted to. And then again, I started getting lessons again when I was about 28. So just because I was, and that's how I got into Desecrator. Actually, I was having lessons with Dave Haley, who's in my opinion, arguably the best drummer in Australia. So I was getting lessons with him just because I had problems that I needed to get through. Like problems with trying to play fast. Trying to just having problems that you've developed bad habits of and all that sort of stuff. So you're never too good to learn something new.
Just like everything, man. Like you're never too old to learn something new. Never stop improving yourself in every aspect of what you love.
And there we go. Someone has shared our post, our friend Neville Tiberius Howard. He's just said, we're chatting to the drummer of my favourite Aussie metal band, Desecrator.
Excellent. Yes. What a legend. Thank you.
I messaged Neville last night and told him that I was going to have you on, Joe. And he goes, that's like one of my favourite bands, Aussie bands.
Yeah. That's really awesome. Excellent. That's good to know.
Neville, we've had on a few times here, so we into that sort of music.
Oh, cool. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So,
what is your probably your favourite gig that stands out?
I've had it. There's probably a few. I think sometimes when I get asked that question, you put it into categories, right? The category of like, what's the most kind of like live the dream rock star moment gig? Like, oh man, I feel like I'm on top of the world kind of thing. It was probably 2017. We toured Europe. We played at Olympia in Paris, and we supported Airborne, and Airborne are, they're a bloody masterclass in rock and roll, as far as I'm concerned. But we were like the only support. It was just us and them. But the joint was just packed before, in the afternoon. And by the time we had even hit the stage, they were just shouting their names, and it was, it wasn't the biggest crowd that we played to, but they were just the most, I don't know. It was just a very good gig in that respect. Like it was really, really cool. That's a big standout for me. And we've got, and they were just, it was one that sticks out in my mind as the best. Like, oh my God, this is I elbowed, my friend, one of my best mates who plays bass in Desecrator, and I elbowed him, and I'm like, this is why we did all that shit all those years, because of this, But at the same time, some of that in a different category, like what's the most memorable, just for the like either bizarre or memorable things that happen. There's probably 10. The one on the top of my head is we played in Łódź in Poland, and we had an instance where, and I'm pretty sure this is on YouTube somewhere, or parts of it is on YouTube, and we basically had the stage power kept going out all the time, and it was a packed show. Stage power kept going out all the time, and our stage manager / roadie / everything tech, Slick, who's our savior of everything, he was like under the stage trying to put things back together and trying to put all of this stuff back together, and we were trying to perform and play, and I ended up doing a drum solo because it's the only thing you could audibly hear when everything went out. And but we were genuinely concerned for his life and his safety at this point, being on stage. But then all of a sudden, like serendipitous timing, I finished the drum solo and everything came back on, and we went whack straight into the next song like nothing happened. So that was a memorable one. And then there's probably in the other category of just a complete disasters, like turn up to a show. I remember one in Russia where we turned up to a show where we were all murderously hungover. And, normally we're not like that. We're normally pretty well behaved because, heavy metal and look after your body and all of that. And I think we're on a, particularly long show run where we're doing 40 odd shows or something like that. So you can't destroy yourself every day. And I think this particular one, we were murderously hungover, and we got to this basement show that they had way oversold, as in, they'd sold more tickets than they could fit physical people in there. And then we got there, and I had a drum kit that was falling apart, quite literally, and had holes in the heads and everything, because I was borrowing gear every night, and I've got, stories for days about borrowing gear. But we got there, the drum kit was falling apart, and the stool that they give you to sit on to play drums, they had, I think he's popped up. Good. The stool that they had given me was a side table, like a side lamp table, to sit on to play drums. And you've heard all stories about drummers sitting on crates and stuff like that, and I've done all that, but I thought this was a particularly interesting one because we were almost unconscious, hungover. Got to this show, it was a fall apart drum kit. I ended up using masking tape because that's all I had, masking tape, to basically do masking tape loops around cymbal stands to hold things together and around toms. I sat on this stool. I took a couch cushion from the back and sat on the stool, and our singer Riley was the worst hungover of them all, and it's probably the worst I'd ever seen him. And he woke up 15-30 minutes maybe before the show, and we played, and it was one of the best shows of the tour. It's fantastic. So after thinking it was like going to be cancelled, and we might have a riot on our hands, it was actually one of the best ones. So anyway, I've got lots of success. So disaster and like memorable and like rock star moments. I sort of like categorize them in those because there's lots of those. Yeah. But sometimes the hard living ones, the hard living stories are the ones that stand out, ones where just weird and wonderful stuff happens, sometimes not so wonderful, but yeah, that's where the stories are at half the time. Because I mean, it's pretty nice to be, going around in a cushy tour bus and playing these shows and walking in and getting fed whatever you want every day. And then, getting your whole, getting looked after and all the backstage rooms you want and everything, all the amenities you ever need. And that's very nice. We all like that very, very much. But, the stories are at when I was in Rio, and we lived in, like the slum area for 3 days, and I slept between 2 plastic chairs, and, because, cats had pissed all over the beds that they'd given us. And, but, there was a Sega Nintendo emulator thing, so that kept us sane for a few days when we were off. But then you go into the shows, and the shows were all DIY crazy, and they would build these stages out of bloody beer cases half the time, and the shows were great. The people were amazing. The shows were great. They're all really enthusiastic, but then, you know, you go back to your slum village where you don't really have anywhere to sleep. So, you know, yeah.
It's where the real passionate fans come from.
Where the measure. It's also a measure in whether you'll ever do it again.
This has all been fascinating stuff. I don't know if we should get into our top tens. I'm loving just this conversation.
Well,
I think
I have one more too. Like, so you grew up the same country town as I did. It was like 2,000 people. Like, how did you feel like being a musician? How it would a little bit more difficult to sort of spread your wings and be a musician person in a small town like that. And then you had Albury as well. But obviously, which I didn't know, you connected really well with your music teacher there, where some other towns don't quite have that. So it's a little bit harder to break through that sort of barrier if you're coming from a country sort of town until you sort of get to Melbourne, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. And I mean, when I lived in Yarrawonga for 2 years, and that's where my teenage band Centaur started, right? And we had moderate success, but yeah, we had, we had a music teacher, Norm, that was just backing us all the way, right? But even getting to say Wodonga and Albury-Wodonga, and you know, that's a combined, it's a pretty sizable city, but at the same time, there's a little music scene there, but you know, your frequency of shows, your pool of musicians and bands is a lot smaller. Obviously, it does exist, and they have, you know, they have their own scenes, but I think I sort of noticed that, yeah, every place that I went to that was a little bit bigger, yeah, there was just a bit more happening. And I think if you know, coming from Rochi and those places that are a little bit smaller, if you want to do anything, you just have to travel. I mean, I was playing in bands the whole time. I was in, Yarrawonga and Wodonga and those places that were a little bit smaller. But I was playing in bands the whole time, and we just understood, you know, if we wanted to get on support slots, if we wanted to play, you know, clubs and stuff, we just had to travel. It's not much different than the mentality of us being in Desecrator, sort of taking that level to go to another country. It's just like we're in Australia. It's like, you know, even take away the fact that you're either from a small town or you're not. If we're from Australia, if you just want to go anywhere, you got to get on a plane and travel, you know, 15 to 20 hours. So I guess the same sort of, you know, mentality could be applied to it. It's like, oh, I'm from a small town. Maybe my options are limited. Okay, well, I can travel to Melbourne, Sydney, you know, nearest cap city to either live or just get amongst the music scene, 10 gigs or 10 club shows or play if you're a musician. But the same sort of thing applies to us, just being in Australia in general. Okay, we can play in Melbourne, or we want to go and break out a little bit. Okay, all right. Well, we're in Australia. We're not in Germany where we can, you know, just go drive 3 hours that way, 3 hours that way, and have, you know, and have literally 150 options to play shows or connect with other people, musicians and stuff. Like, so we have to kind of do it a bit differently in Australia, I guess. You know.
Yeah. What would be your favourite touring place that you've gone to so far, like a country? What's your most favourite?
I couldn't tell you. I think
pretty hard
again,
one, but
yeah, it's a hard one because again, for different reasons. I like them for different reasons. So I guess I sort of always stick out of Mexico because I think the way that we did it was we toured with a band who were Mexican locals. They took us in. We'd done a couple of tours with them in Europe before. We knew them very well, so we've got along with them like a house on fire. I love their band. They're a band called Piranha, so check them out. They're a Mexican thrash metal band. Check them out, everyone who's listening. But they, you know, personality-wise, kind of the same as us, and I've probably seen them live more than any other band, I think, because I reckon I've sat and watched their set 60 times or more. So, you know, and you get that when you tour with bands. You play with a band 20 times or 25 times. You get to know their songs and their music and everything. But I think with Piranha, like I would have watched their set 60 times. You know, So when we went there, they kind of organised the tour for us, and we we, again, some of it was hard living, some of it was fantastic, but all of it was fun. And I think that reminded us after having a couple of tours that weren't so fun, you know, because it was hard living and, you know, the long drive, like some of the European tours out of the vans that were, you know, really long drives, sometimes weren't so fun. It's always fun to some capacity, but sometimes not. There's a whole lot of waiting around to play your 40 minutes on stage or 45 minutes on stage. So I think the Mexican one was probably the most fun that we've had. You know, stories for days, a little bit of danger, some silly stories about, you know, getting involved and bribing policemen and all this sort of stuff, like just crazy stuff, but always fun. Yeah. So, and we have actually, I've got this thing, you know, to, I guess, bridge the topic on action movies. That particular tour, we called it the Road Warriors Tour, because I think we were writing or had already written a song called Desert for Days. It's on our To the Gallows record. It's called Desert for Days, and it's all about Mad Max. So our frontman Riley is Mad Max mad, if that makes sense. So we got this. Maybe it can't be shown on this. I'll have to send a link to this poster. So basically, what it is, it's the band. Oh, there we go. It's the band drawn as Mad Max characters. So Riley's there as Max. I'm there as Wes, I think, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Jerry as the kid, and then Scotty, our guitarist at the time, he's that the pilot guy, which I can't remember. I'm not very good with these things. Yeah. I'm not really Mad Max, but anyway, so we got that. We got that hand drawn by a tattooist artist in Melbourne, and that was kind of our poster art, and that was just one of the coolest things we did, I think, in terms of like artwork and caricatures. And we've had ourselves drawn as caricatures a few times throughout the years in Desecrator, but that one was probably the coolest, and I certainly think Riley, our front man, was just so happy with that result. It's pretty cool. I quite like it. So yeah.
It's always fun seeing yourself as in different character portraits and things like that. I always get a kick out of it too.
Yeah. And we've had a few of those before. Like we've done shirts, you know, with caricatures drawn of us and things like that. It's always been fun. But yeah, that one was probably the coolest one, I think. The Mad Max one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Should we get into the top 10s?
Yep.
Yeah.
Before we do, let's have a word from our sponsors.
This show is sponsored by the Comx shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. Then head over to comx.shop to pick up a variety of Australian comics from multiple creators and publishers, all for one flat postage rate. We hope you enjoy the show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You want to buy one comic, you want to buy 10 comics, you want to buy 20 comics, it does not matter. You go to Comx and you will pay one flat shipping rate. You want to know about comics in Australia, you want to know about Australian artists, Australian writers, or just buy Australian comics or support Kickstarters, head over to Comx. There is no I in X. Comx. All right, let's get down to it. So, we've got our top 10 action sci-fi movies, correct?
Yep.
Before 2000. How about we go, each says our number 10, our number 9, our number 8, and in the meantime, we can call each other dickheads and say, no, what are you talking about? That's a shit movie. Or I agree, that's a better movie than what you've rated it at. Whatever it is, g'day, Whack Comics. All right. Well, let's do it then. Number 10 on the best before 2000 sci-fi action movies for myself, I have put down as Starship Troopers.
Oh.
And the reason why is because, just like yourselves, guys, I'm sure we had about 15, 20 movies that we wanted to put on. I had to narrow it down to movies that I watch more than any others. So even though there might be another movie that I think is better than Starship Troopers, I watch Starship Troopers a lot more for it to be nominated as my number 10.
good one. That's I remember going to the cinemas and watching that. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
Same.
But you better not have any Steven Seagal in here, Jared.
I can't promise that.
All right, so my number 10 is going to be The Last Boy Scout.
Oh, that was on there.
Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. Like, would have been one of his first, or not quite his first gigs, Damon Wayans, but yeah. I can watch that movie. That movie makes me laugh. It's got action. It's got a good story. Like, it would have been pretty low budget.
Fully agree. I'm fairly certain, wasn't that like also that attempt to push Bruce Willis into the action genre at that point?
Because he was a comedian at the time.
Not a comedian, drama actor or something. I think the whole Last Boy Scouts, Die Hard era was him trying to like push into action hero area, as far as I recall. I could be slightly off that, but I'm pretty sure there's a deliberate push from him or his management agent or whatever to ditch the comedy stuff or the drama comedy stuff and go into serious acting.
Well, he had it down pat, the loser sort of look, and a sleep in the car sort of look kind of guy.
Exactly.
Having a cigarette and not caring.
Brilliant.
I just loved it.
And the one-liners.
Yeah, he goes.
One-liners look great.
At the very end, he goes, if you keep, if you talk about my daughter again, I'm going to shove an umbrella up your ass and open it.
Fantastic. So good.
That's at the very end of the movie. That just always makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's very good.
What you got?
All right. So my number 10, I thought I might get laughed at for this, but my number 10 is The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I just think that I think you just can't lose with that kind of combination of, Connery, who plays a badass in it, and is a absolutely guru agent, but in his old age still kicks ass. And then you've got kind of action / comic relief of Nick Cage. I think, and the whole story of hijacking and all of that. But the action sequences are good. It's all.
It's Michael.
I think
Bay,
it's all. Sorry.
Is it Michael
Bay? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's right. Yep. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think all of that came together really well, and I think like The Last Boy Scout, because Last Boy Scout's definitely in my top 20, my rapid fire list that I'll rattle off later on. I think The Rock is something that I can watch all the time and have a good time.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely need to rewatch that because I remember loving The Rock.
Mm.
Number 9, I have. I wonder how many Nick Cage movies are going to be on our lists here, but Con Air, that was a freaking masterpiece. I loved that movie so freaking much. That is definitely my number 1.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Yeah.
But apart from his ghastly accent, and Malkovich is an absolute star in that movie. I reckon.
Yeah. Oh, they all are, mate. Steve Buscemi. They're all great in that movie.
Yeah,
unreal.
What about Steve?
Yeah, he's the creepo.
So my number 9, I reckon this is very underrated, and I don't think you would have it because of the first movie. I go with Predator 2.
Yep, I love that movie.
Danny Glover was underrated. The storyline was underrated. It's because the first movie was so successful.
Yeah,
it was just a hard act to follow. But if this was just on its own, this is a good movie. This is a good movie.
I couldn't agree more. I reckon Danny Glover is an absolute badass in that movie. And the whole his one-liners are cool too. You know how he's got the whole. They put that subplot in that he's afraid of heights and he's hanging over and he's like, "Oh, that's all I need is birds." When he's just I actually wonder all that sort of shit if that was in the script or he's kind of ad-libbing that, because it's it's really he's just so badass in it. So I agree with that one. That's a good one.
Well, I reckon with all the cops, it was really good character building, because when the movie first started, it jumped straight into it, and to somehow get the character development where you do care about the characters as well. Yeah, that was really good, writing. And I highly rate this movie a lot. And
Fair enough.
Awesome. Number 9 for me, Total Recall.
Oh,
Which I wouldn't be surprised if that's in like a lot of people's kind of top 10s for action movies. But again, I think it goes back to that. I can watch that over and over again and have a great time. And it's just got to, like, especially at the time, that was pretty ambitious to do a movie that's like set on Mars, at the time. And I guess Arnie at the time was a established action hero, so the budgets were not bad for movies and stuff. But I even look at it now and just go, that was so well done, even for the for the budgets and the CG at the time and all of that was available. Like you're in and you believe it. You believe that it's Mars, and like even now, you're in and you're done. Yeah.
Plus, the topic of conversation of 3 breasts was around for a very long time.
Oh, wasn't it? And they probably. Yeah, and they probably thought at the time, oh, here's just a little gimmick that they'll do. And the 3 titties are in there for 4 seconds.
Maybe we had 3 hands.
Yeah.
That's what every kid.
And geez, and how old were we when we watched it? Like 7 or 8 years old or something. When we watched it, we were just like, oh my god.
I'm guessing you hated the remake.
No, I didn't hate it. It was just I just don't put it in the same league. It was just
definitely not as good.
Another spin. No, I mean it was all right, but yeah. So
Arnold Schwarzenegger slept with his maid.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Right. Number 8.
Number 8. It's weird how we circle around each other a little, but my number 8 is Die Hard.
That Christmas movie.
Yeah, man, and it was hard to pick between Die Hard 1 and 2, but when it comes down to it, it's I gone blank on the bad guy's name, the guy from Harry Potter.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah,
Hans Gruber. Yeah.
Like,
Alan Rickman.
Yeah, Alan Rickman. He is just freaking brilliant in that movie, man.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
he wins it for me.
Totally agree. Yep. All right, so my number 8 is I guess another sort of comedy / action, Tango and Cash.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I love that movie. I absolutely love that movie. I reckon you and I used to watch that when we were kids, right? At your place all the time.
We did, yeah. We hired that every week, Joe, didn't we? Yeah. At our local video store.
Yeah. I was just telling my daughter that the other day about the whole concept of looking for the round stickers, $2 or $3 on the video cassettes at the video store, and that's how we rent movies. Because I don't know, she made some flippant comment about, oh, I want to watch this movie. Which streaming service is it on? And I'm like, dude, I used to have to wash dishes and get my $2 to go to the video shop to hire movies, and you're like, oh, which of the streaming platforms did I get $3 is this on?
Yeah, and if it wasn't there, you had to wait till like either next week or the next day.
Yeah, because someone else already had it.
Had that slip in it out of water.
Yep. Damn. Yeah, I love that movie, Tango and Cash. The whole like just slapstick comedy between those two, and Sly being kind of the serious guy, the rich guy, or whatever. Yeah, I absolutely love that.
I remember before I discovered what cool was, and I was still a real immature kid. And my 3-year older brother, Adam, would rent Tango and Cash. And he used to make me watch it, and I used to hate it. I used to hate action things as a kid. I'm talking real young. And he used to point out to me and goes, but don't you understand? He's talking about himself. He's Rambo. And he's saying that Rambo's a pussy. Do you not understand that? And his mind would be blown.
Yeah.
It took me years to realize how important that was.
Yep, absolutely. That's a great film. So we're at number 8. So yeah, this one crosses over into the possibly not action category, but I think it's plenty action. The Crow.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you know anything about that movie, obviously you know the story about Brandon Lee and how he died during the filming. But other than that, and they had to finish it with some, stunt actors and some CG and all that sort of stuff. But the movie was great. The movie was so cool. It was just like, old-fashioned revenge style kind of movie. Okay, they killed me, I'm going to kill them, and yeah, very cool. Dark and gothic, but also, you kind of like him too. You want him to, you kind of want him to succeed and kill them all.
The main villain in that was pretty cool. Like I forgot his name.
Michael Wincott.
Yeah, he had the long hair because he was in villain in Robin Hood too, wasn't he? Prince of Thieves.
And he's got that really dark, husky voice, which is perfect bad guy. Yeah.
Ernie Hudson is the cop.
He is too.
Ghostbusters, yeah.
Again, completely lovable dude, and he's kind of a beatdown loser in that film as well, Wife left him and he got demoted and blah blah blah, and he's kind of the hero of the day in the end. So I love that film. Great. Yep.
Yeah, good choice. So, number 7.
Number 7 is the original Predator. That movie always meant a lot to me. I mean, I'm a huge Predator fan, and even though I kind of still think I loved Predators, the one that they sort of raided on the planet, like I loved that version.
The Rodriguez one? That's the Rodriguez one. Yeah,
where they wake up falling out of a plane.
Yeah,
I really like that one too.
Me too.
Yep, that was actually the best one out of the rest of the series after Predator 2. I reckon that was the best one.
Me too.
Some of the others have been bloody ghastly. Even the latest one that Shane Black wrote, and it should have been amazing, was bloody terrible. So, whereas that Predators movie, and the thing is, what is his name? Adrian Brody or Adrian Brody? Adrian Brody. It was cool as in it, and I was expecting it to be a bit shit, but it was really good. I quite enjoyed it. But anyway, the original Predator. What can you say? It's the best.
Yeah. I just love the fact that you've got this. Like, I think overall, realistically, I'd have to say Predators is actually my favorite Predator movie. However, Predator has such nostalgic memories with it. The one thing that I always was fascinated with was how you've got this alien with all this technology, all this cool ass shit, and Schwarzenegger beats him by putting mud on himself.
But I think what they did well in that movie is they made him not invincible. I mean, there's always a weakness or something that the good guy wins in the end, but they kind of show throughout that movie that he does get hurt, he does get shot, he does get sort of beat up a little bit, and he's got I remember, like, geez, we were kids, we used to like marvel over that, the bloody laser thing he had on his shoulder. But that's all he had. He had the laser, and he had the big gauntlet knife on his wrist, and that's kind of all he had. Whereas some of the other Predator movies, they've got all these bloody ridiculous weapons, and they look like space creatures from the future or something, like Alien versus Predator and stuff. And the thing is, I like the concept of the Alien versus Predator thing. I thought the first one and the story was really cool on how they bring them together. I thought that was very clever and well done. But the Predators themselves look like shit. Like, they look terrible. Like all of those characters, all of those Predators look.
No Kevin Peter Hall.
No Kevin Peter Hall, but also the suits. Like, they were just, the first and second ones, they were more realistic in terms of they were just beat up old hunters and stuff with armor and stuff. They weren't these Buzz Lightyear Space Rangers. Really, that's what the later ones look like. They look like Buzz Lightyear.
It was a last-minute costume change. They ran out of money. They had Van Damme as the bad dude, and the original design was horrible.
Was awful. Yeah. They had Van Damme.
They ran out of money, so they had to disappear
suit
for like 6 months, and they got a little bit of money together. They go, well, look, we're just going to have to chuck a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
We go, this dude did Henry and the Hendersons, Kevin Peter Hall. He's massive. Let's put him in a suit and make him look scary. It was just a last-minute thing, and it's such a great design.
Yeah. Yeah, you wonder if it would have been forgotten about if they had Van Damme in the chicken suit,
It was so horrible.
It was awful, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what are we up to? So it's me, number 7, isn't it?
Yep.
So I've gone Terminator 2.
Excellent.
So, yeah, very iconic. I got a feeling, Jared, it's going to be a bit more higher for you.
It's up there.
Well, I just know that it was always on at your place. But yes, I'm a big Terminator fan, big Terminator franchise fan. I actually watched Genesis on the weekend, and it was a bit of a mistake. But yeah, I hadn't seen it since the cinema, and it's on Netflix, and yeah, I thought I'd give it a go again.
Yeah.
Still disappointed. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say about Terminator 2? Everyone knows that that's a bloody great film.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you say? It's awesome, and I mean, yeah, I like everybody else. Probably am a bit critical of the later Terminators. I thought the one with Christian Bale in it. What was that? Terminator Salvation. I thought that was quite good. I think that's where it should have gone. They should have just continued the story, and because they're trying to reinvent it 100 times to bloody keep the franchise going and make the money and blah blah blah. But that was good. That film, Genesis, wasn't great. Even the latest one with Linda Hamilton wasn't great.
It's the same story, isn't it?
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing over and over. And that's why I quite liked Terminator Salvation, because it was like, okay, we're actually getting into the part where they're at war.
I always wanted to see a movie about the war. I always did. So I was pretty stoked about that. And when I did watch it, I wasn't disappointed.
I liked it. I liked it.
I rewatch it now, and I actually love it. Amazing.
And I
love to watch it.
I saw it at a time too where I wasn't really on Christian Bale that much. I was like, because I'm pretty sure when I first saw it, I was like, I didn't really like. I know it's my problem, but I can deal with it, right? I didn't really like Christian Bale as Batman. I just didn't really get it. Whereas, I seem to be wrong about that because everyone disagrees with me. But
Logie.
But so I was a bit on Christian Bale, but then you watch everything else he's ever done, and he's pretty awesome. And when he was in that film, he was really good. So.
He does the Batman voice in it too.
Yeah, and honestly, it works great in Terminator Salvation. But that putting on that voice in Batman just killed me, man. I was just like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Yeah.
You sound like an idiot.
Anyway. Number 7, Jared.
So number 7 for me, Young Guns.
Yes. Yes.
I had a feeling you'd put that in there.
Yeah.
Man, you're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised, Jared. I didn't put it in mine.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I got to give you the rapid fire honorable mentions list at the end, and there's probably half of these movies you're like, oh man, I should have put this in my top 10 because yeah. So Young Guns and what. Yeah, but I mean, you and I used to watch that heaps when we were kids, all the time.
We used to reenact it, didn't we?
We probably did with the with the toy guns that they used to let you have in your show bags.
Would you believe they're making Young Guns 3?
What? Wow!
I'll watch it. I liked Young Guns, and I loved Young Guns 2.
It says it's with the original cast, which I don't understand because most of them died in Young Guns 2. But I've been dying for Young Guns 3 for 20 years.
Well, I guess in Young Guns 2, he is an old man, Emilio Estevez. So the story was he never died.
Yeah.
So it could be something that happens after number 2 or something. Yeah.
Will it continue with Pat Garrett, or will it be like a story in the middle? Who knows? They've got plenty of years to work with.
Well, who was still alive? It was still
Lou Diamond Phillips died.
Yep.
Doc Holliday, Kiefer Sutherland died.
Doc died. They all
kind of. He survived.
The only one that survived was the new guy that joined them.
Yeah, young new guy, and then there was another guy.
They gave him a nickname.
Was it Christian Slater? Christian Slater was in Young Guns too.
Yeah, he was in there, but I'm pretty sure he died in the sequel.
Killed off.
Yeah. So is it Bucktooth? Whatever his name is, Bucktooth.
Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah.
Bucktooth Bill.
Oh, everybody's got to go watch it now. See what happens.
Yeah.
Prepare for number 3.
Shut down.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a glory. Well,
number 5.
6.
6. Yes, 6 is Demolition Man, baby.
Oof.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in my honorable mentions list for sure.
Don't know how to use the 3 seashells.
Yeah. Yeah, got to use the 3 seashells. Can't even say it, actually.
But that was just a joke. I'm still confused about that. That really, you can't do that, can you?
I'm pretty sure that they kind of invented that. All told, like I think they just invented it and they never really explained it. It was just like, we're just going to do that, and it was all about like money or something. I think it was all about money. They needed something, like, because they had no money or something, and we just needed props there, and it was never explained, and there was never any rhyme or reason to it. There's no secret. Oh, you actually use them in this way. It was just no.
I thought
Put them in there. That was it.
I thought I was just like stupid and just like, yeah 3 seashells. They don't know how to use that.
So clever. I love it.
There was a picture on how to actually use it, and I can't find it on Google right now. But it was basically wipe, cup, and wipe again.
Oh yeah, I figured that's how it would go. Yeah, it's not very efficient.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 6 is Universal Soldier.
Very good. I watched that the other day.
Yeah. So one of my favourite actors of all time when I was growing up was Dolph Lundgren, just basically because I liked the bad guys.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, and I thought he was an amazing bad guy in everything that he was a good guy as well. I got another movie of his coming up, but yeah, Universal Soldier. My only Van Damme movie in this. So
excellent. Yeah, that was a great movie.
The storyline still holds up well. It still holds up.
I think so too. Yep. It's because I think it's an age-old problem, isn't it? You know, secret military operation playing around with people's lives and biological weapons and blah blah blah. It's like it's
Vietnam War and
all that. I guess
Yeah.
And there's been a bunch of Universal Soldiers after it, but I don't know if any of them have been any good. I'm pretty sure some of them are quite bad. But I think by the end of it, isn't Van Damme's character a bloody terrorist by the last one or something like that?
Well, one of the later ones, they brought back Dolph Lundgren and Van Damme, like the original cast, and it was like the fourth or fifth one, and it was almost like the latest Terminator, where if you can ignore all the other sequels and just watch this, it sort of continues from it, and it wasn't bad.
My number 6, Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
First one. I think that first one. Yeah, I mean they're all funny, they're all good, but the first one, is amazing. Again, it's like that was like Eddie Murphy's first like feature film, or one of his first feature films. Where
it was either that or 48 Hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of them. It was either his first or second. Yeah, it was either first or second, but geez, he was good in it. Like he just hard hitting and funny. Rattle off. And if you watch all the behind the scenes stuff, just half the shit that he says that's funny, he was just out with it. No script or nothing.
There'd be no directing him, man. He'd just do his own thing.
Just do his own thing back then. Yeah, so good.
Number 5.
Number 5 is for me the coolest movie that I could ever watch as a kid, that I watched a million times growing up. Just like Total Recall, I was devastated with the remake. Point Break.
Excellent. Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze,
Johnny Utah.
Yeah, Johnny Utah. Yeah. I loved that movie, man. So freaking much.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely great movie.
Got such a kick as well, how it ends on Bell's Beach, and you're like,
yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
There's New Zealand guys acting in it too, isn't it? They have a New Zealand accent. That's not an Aussie accent.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. So my number 5 is Terminator 1. So the first one. I like the first one better than the second.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I actually can't pick between the first and second ones as to which I like, but yep.
Well, they were very legit. Well, there's only one movie in between them, so it's very close for me too. But I always go with the first one, just basically because of the scare factor, how it just feels more impossible a human going up against and protecting Sarah.
True.
So that just made it more scary. Arnie, as a big, scary looking dude, like half of his eyebrows are singed off. I love the nightclub scene is one of my favourite scenes in movies, where he bursts through the back about to shoot her.
I always thought the in the first one, the scene where he shoots all of the Sarah Connors and all of that, I found that really confronting. I think when I first saw that, you know, and we're talking like maybe 91 or 92 when I first saw it, so I was like 8 or something like that, and I just remember, you know, Arnie that you've seen in other movies and stuff where he wasn't such a badass, him going in and just shooting some innocent lady or something like that. That was like, whoa. That's probably what you're saying about the scare factor, or the like, holy shit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This dude's
Still
real,
now
and
you watch it and go, wow.
all we've got is an old school soldier to help us, and it's just
Mm-hmm. We'll see. For me, 5 is Terminator 2, so we can already talked about that one, so we can probably move up into 4. Yeah.
Number 4, bro.
Number 4 for me is one that's already been mentioned, and that is The Crow.
Awesome.
That was an iconic movie. And what makes it even more incredible of how good a movie it is the fact that they made a TV show and so many sequels, and all of them were just garbage. Nothing compared to the original, you know. So, yeah, they've been wanting to do a new one of them for like 20 years. I remember Bon Jovi got asked to do it, and he said no. And it's been in the pipeline for a long, long time. And the latest rumors are Jason Momoa.
Right. Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the Crow sequels. The first sequel, City of Angels or something, which has got Iggy Pop in it, and he's probably the best thing in it, to be honest. He's like one of the bad guys or something like that. And he's honestly the best actor in it, and he's the best. Mia Kirshner is like the main character. She's pretty good. She's good as an actress, but her character and her dialogue's fucking dog shit, unfortunately. But Iggy Pop saves that movie.
In like the fourth or fifth one, it's Eddie Furlong from Terminator.
Oh god. Okay. Yeah, right. I don't think it's gone that far.
Yeah, no, I haven't, but I just remember seeing the cover. It'll be like, I'm gonna watch that one day. I'll never have.
No, they're good. All right. So my number 4, which you will remember, like when hometown, me and Joe grew up in, we had a video store, and across the road we had a fish and chip store / video store. Now, I hired this movie that many times from that fish and chip store. They said, keep it. I kept on high because it was weekly, and I kept on hiring it weekly. And they go, you know what, keep it. You've already paid what it's worth. And Dark Angel. So
fantastic.
Dolph Lundgren.
That's a great choice.
Yeah.
Dolph with the weird alien.
It's been many, many years. I vaguely remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, another story too, Jared. I caught up with Brendan Coleman like 6 years ago it was. Like I've caught up with him a few times since, but I remember going to a pub, having a few drinks with him. And he goes, remember that movie you always used to make us watch? He goes, I saw that in the DVD store. I go, like, where is it? Where is it? Because I've been searching for that for years.
Yeah. You can like buy it digitally, like on the digital channels, Amazon or something like that.
But 7 years ago, the next day I went there and got it from the store. He said he saw it at. That's how much I wanted it.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah. Steve Anson's there. Awesome.
Yes, I did make you watch. I made everybody watch that a lot.
Yeah.
I love that
good
movie,
choice.
man. It's comedy. Yeah, it was great. All right.
So 4 for me, The Matrix.
No? Yep.
So the thing I like, 99. The thing I like about the Matrix, I mean, you know, I think, you know, apart from Terminator, right? Because Terminator is similar in concept to AI and you know, machines taking over the world and blah blah blah. I think, you know, the whole story of the Matrix and the way that's interwoven with every other theme that you could possibly throw at it is really good. It's a movie that I can go back to all the time. I think it's fantastically filmed, done. All the acting's great. Hugo Weaving's a badass. All of that stuff. I don't really buy the whole love story between Neo and Trinity. I think that's a bit like not believable at all. But you know, Trinity's cool in it. Like Carrie-Anne Moss is cool in it. You know, all those action sequences are awesome, and you know, all the ass kicking's great. the love story is no good, but everything else about it is fantastic. And I love the whole mythology and the whole story of it. I think it's very clever.
It's pretty groundbreaking for its day, wasn't it? I mean, like, this is completely out of there. Like, people are still confused today. I mean, like, none of our parents could go watch that movie, could they?
No, probably not. Probably not. And they wouldn't get it. You'd have to sit there and explain it.
They're just like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, that's right. But I thought that was a very well put together film.
Yep.
Yeah, Matrix was very hard not to have on my top 10, I've got to admit.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me is, again, it was a toss-up between this one or its sequel, but I went with the original, and that is Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me.
Excellent.
Oh, Robocop. Nice.
Yeah, excellent.
Robocop 1 and 2, man, I used to watch on repeat over and over again.
I'll tell you one thing that I discovered about Robocop as an adult compared to a kid. Like, we used to watch it heaps. Probably what you and I used to watch it heaps when we were kids too, but I didn't realise how fucking violent it is until when I was an adult. I was like, my God, this is so violent. And then you sort of think, oh, okay, it's an R-rated movie, but holy shit.
Especially the
I didn't
sequel.
realise that. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Is that
Yeah.
demo droid that just destroys everybody?
Yeah, and just puts this size hole in the guy in the office. Like, it's just nuts.
And then you watch scenes today that you don't realise are that cool when you're a kid, where like the guy's got the woman and then he shoots her between the dress and it gets him in his balls, you know.
Amazing.
Classic.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3 is Demolition Man. Right.
Good choice.
I was still got this one when I brought it when it first came out in 94. Wesley Snipes. I love this movie. This is, well, the top 2 movies are not quite action movies, so this would be my favourite action movie. I watch this probably the most out of all the movies because it's a movie I'm always in the mood for. Like,
fair enough.
I think it's just an enjoyable watch. Like, this movie, I'll never not be in the mood for. There's some movies where you're like, I don't really want to go through that. Not today. Demolition Man, it's just hits every level for me.
Yep. Fair enough. I agree with that. Number 3 for me is Die Hard, for obvious reasons. So it's up in my top 3. You know, much for the same reason. I can always watch it. And, now we almost deliberately do the Christmas thing now and watch Die Hard. I can watch it any time. So.
Love it. Number 2, up the top 2.
Up the top 2.
Well, my second one's going to be a little boring after our conversations, but it is what it is. My second one is Terminator 2.
Terminator 2,
That's what I always think of when I think of Terminator 2. That thumb going.
Oh, the final thing. Yeah.
It's a pretty moving moment as well.
He lost his dad. Now he's going to lose his new dad.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a movie crier, but the Terminator going in nearly gets you. It nearly gets you.
Nearly gets you. Yeah. And that's about as close as Arnie will ever get you to tears.
I reckon. He's not exactly going to be doing it with Conan, is he?
So my number 2 is also one that's been mentioned a couple of times. So it's Predator 1. So this is always.
Well, my number 2 is Predator 1 as well. So I knew you and I would align on this and on our top 10s a lot. But yeah, Predator. The original Predator is my number 2 as well. Probably my second favorite movie of all time. So
man, I reckon
just can't get enough.
We watched it every weekend, wasn't it, Jared?
Pretty much, I would say so. Yeah, we watched the absolute shit out of it, and I think both of us had probably recorded it off the TV. You know, back in the days where you would dub it on a video cassette off the TV, and then you'd be there with the bloody remote control because when the ads come on, you would press pause because like fuck the ads, right? And then you go back. Yeah, so
100%.
Yeah.
Love it.
And it all comes down to number 1.
Number one. What you got, Bo?
Mate, I've got about 3 or 4 movies that I always say are my favourite movie of all time. And this one fits the action before 2000s category, and that is I want his face.
No, face off, yes.
I could eat a
man.
peach for hours.
I watched that not long ago just to see if I still liked it, and I still liked it very much.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that movie, man.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, mate. When that first came out, I did think at the time, and this is the greatest action movie ever.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's worn itself out a little bit. Like John Travolta is one of the best villains going around, isn't he?
You just don't see him that much as a villain, you know?
Yeah.
You've got him in Broken Arrow, maybe that alien one that he did with the
Punisher.
Yeah. Oh, Punisher, yeah.
Mm.
But all in all,
Yeah,
he
he
hasn't
hasn't
done
been
that
bad
villain
guys,
too much.
Was it
Yeah.
Swordfish as well?
Yeah, Swordfish. He was like, he was a badass in that one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
I love him as a baddie.
Yeah,
Me too.
I like him too. Mm-hmm.
Mm. So my number one is Aliens, the second one. So,
I'll just jump in there. Mine is too.
we come up with the top two. There we go.
Yeah. Mate, I knew we would. I
had a feeling.
Aliens is my number one.
I honestly thought
all
we
time.
would be the other way around. I thought you'd go Predator. Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
It's a hard decision, but yeah, Aliens is number one, or it has been since I reckon since I saw it when I was.
Me
And
too.
I reckon I'm just again a movie that you and I probably watched heaps when we were kids.
Well, the first time I watched it was at your place, mate. I reckon it was me, you, and
Mm.
Brendan. Yeah.
Mm.
Like edge of our seats, mate. I mean, like just the
Yeah.
whole walking through the hallway of the boop, boop, boop.
Yep.
Oh yes, thank you, Ned.
Yeah. Someone knew. Yeah, Ned knew. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what can you say? I mean, the first Alien movie was amazing, and just again, like the things that they did with that movie on a low budget. You even look at Alien now, and you think, geez, that's a $20 million movie, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's a bloody, what was it, 1.5 or 2 or something really low anyway. And then you get I think everything happened at the right time. You get James Cameron, ambitious, can write a good movie like a bastard, and he was a bit of a, I don't know, all told he was a bit of a jerk back in those days, and just to get things done, and he got shit done, and man, the movie was incredible.
Hit gold with Sigourney Weaver as well. She was still pretty young.
Yeah.
And she was like we talk about action stars, most of them are males, but we forget how like unbelievable Sigourney Weaver was.
Yeah, did everything herself, every sequence herself, no stunt doubles, none of this, just kicked ass. Yeah,
she was. And then obviously you go to Ghostbusters and she's in a comedy relief. Like she was amazing. Like I grew up just loving Sigourney Weaver.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
In fact,
Yeah.
I would see her in a feminine role afterwards.
It was a bit for a while. Yeah, you see
was,
her dressed
yeah.
nice and her hair done and makeup on, and you think, oh, is this the same person? I wanted to be the ass kicking Ellen Ripley.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
before we go, let's talk about what movies we didn't say, but we wanted to put in our lists.
I've got like a 20 rapid fire, right? I'll
Go
rattle
for
them off. A bunch of them have already been.
Very true, Steve.
Yep, absolutely. A bunch of them have already been mentioned here, but here we go. All right. Under Siege, Tango and Cash.
Yep.
Executive Decision.
Oh, I love Executive Decision.
I know, it's great. You watch that movie, it's great. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep.
Yeah.
Passenger 57. That was another one.
Oh.
A fair bit when we were kids, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had that on my short list too. Big fan of it.
Yeah. Point Break was on my list, on my short list. Escape from New York was on my short list. Independence Day, 94.
Yeah.
The original Independence Day. That was an awesome movie. Absolute blockbuster action movie. Wrecking cities and all of that. I mean, it was like, whoa, at the time. Last Boy Scout was on mine. Demolition Man was on mine. Con Air was on mine. Broken Arrow was on it too, because I really liked that movie. The Fugitive, Harrison Ford, that was really good. I thought that was a really good action film, a bit dramatic as well. Lethal Weapon, the original one. This one is a bit left field, but I would call this an action movie. Twister,
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
95, I think it was made. I would nearly call that an action movie. It's not in the traditional good versus bad guy, but it's like everyone against nature, and it's just kicking ass all the time. And
Yeah.
that was actually a great movie. Like, if you haven't watched it in a while, you should watch it. It's really cool. And
yeah.
where are we at? Bloodsport. Remember Bloodsport?
Oh, you
Van
bastard.
Damme.
I was waiting for
That's on my
that.
shortlist.
Yeah, love that film.
Very good, but brick not hit back.
Absolutely. Robocop was in my shortlist. First Blood, so the first Rambo movie, was in my shortlist as well. I actually really, I mean, even though it's not before 2000, but the fourth Rambo movie, you know, Rambo 4, when he's in Burma and he just mows down the entire army. Oh my god, I love that movie. I don't know why. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, but I love it. That's a movie I can go back to every time and just go, all right, let's get Stallone, who's massive and a bit old, and let's let him mow down an army that's doing bad things to people. It's very satisfying for some reason. I don't know. Universal Soldier was on it. Fifth Element was on it. Terminator 1 was on it. Reservoir Dogs was on it, even though that's not really an action film, but that's one for me that I call it action enough, but also probably crosses over into sort of, you know, crime drama, I guess. And the last one on my short list was The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah.
Shane Black film with Samuel L. Jackson and Gina Davis, who's an ass-kicking assassin.
Well, I think you've listed all of mine that I didn't have, except for Commando.
Yeah, Commando. I should have put it in there, and I was considering, but I thought, I've got to stop somewhere.
Yeah.
The only different one that I've had, Adam, because I had almost all of that, was True Lies.
Yep, that was a good one too. Yep, I enjoyed that.
What else did I have that was kind of... I had this. I like it, but I know nobody likes it, but it's a Judge Dredd. So
I like that. I don't
Long
mind it.
version.
Yeah.
I'm going to admit, I liked it when it came out.
And I put Alien Resurrection, the fourth one. So I actually like it.
I liked it too, actually. Yeah. And of all of the stupid things you can do to, you know, bring Ripley back after she died, because unfortunately Alien 3 was a fucking disaster. But Resurrection was actually quite good. They brought her back cleverly, and it's very confronting because, especially when you see all the experiments and stuff that they did, and you think, oh man, that's messed up.
The underwater scene was amazing as well.
Yeah.
We went through. Yeah.
Yep, and it was old school too. They did it all in cameras. Like, you know, some of the CG alien tail stuff was done with computers and stuff, but like all the actors and stuff, man, they got in the damn pool and they filmed it all in camera. They didn't, you know, did it old school.
100%. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon Jared should come back for like a top 10 comedies or something different for next time. I don't know how much you're into them, but
I've got tons. I got the same list in comedies, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, we've got a few. Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic, Jared. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. It's been a real blast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been great to talk about all of these old movies. I'm going to keep my list and go and watch a bunch of them over the next few weeks.
If anybody wants to check out Jared, go hit him up on Instagram right here, where you can see all of his pictures and music and all sorts of things like that. It looks really phenomenal. There was more clips I wanted to show you, actually. Maybe we're just going to have to get you on so that we can use that excuse to show more stuff.
Pleasure. Thank you.
AussieVerse, comics and collectors, like and subscribe. Check out A51 Designs. Check us out here on Instagram. Check out Comx. And that is all I've got for you. Mark, before we go, though, have you got any final thoughts?
Oh, right. I guess you want me to mention the spider thing again. Yeah, so anyone who's like, I come up with some sort of random thing at the end of every show. So this is a weird one. So Brazilian wandering spider. So he's obviously in Brazil. So he's also called the banana spider because he or she often is in bananas. So the symptoms, if he bites you, he is known as the most deadliest spider in the world just because the antivenom doesn't always work. So he's responsible for like 16, 17 deaths per year. And he's usually in the jungle, so it would be a lot more if he was in people's houses and stuff like that. But anyway, these are the symptoms. So you obviously get the simple symptoms is like you start going blurry, you start getting shortness of breath, you start going through sweats and fever sort of styles, and you start losing your smell and all those senses. And then, this is what it actually says in the Wikipedia, you get extremely painful erections and then you die. So, wow. I don't know.
What a way to go.
So apparently there was one person, because it came through in a bananas from overseas in the UK. He brought one and there was a spider in it, and he had an erection lasting 4 hours and then he died straight after that.
Wow.
And apparently they did say specifically extremely, like the headaches weren't extreme, but this was extreme pain. So it just does my mind. So yeah.
Oh, mate, you hate to be that guy sitting there in heaven, turning around and being like, how did you get here and I was murdered? How did you get here and I was run over by a bus? How did you get here? Huge erection. All right. And that is all we've got to say. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you back here next Monday for the next live chat. Part 3 of our Through the MCU, as well as any day now, we are going to be uploading our Doctor Strange review and more of Sharif's custom corners will be coming at you. See you next week. AussieVerse for life.